All right, we've got Jason Hancock again with us from Pillar to Post Home Inspections, and we're going to give you a quick rundown of all things termites today.
Hi,
So thanks for
everybody.
being
How's
with us.
everybody today?
Good.
Good. So yeah, I just wanted to give a little talk about termites, the damage they can do, what to look for, and what not to do to help prevent termites in the house or to get to the house. You know, they are very, very destructive little creatures. They can literally eat a house home completely down if it's not treated properly. And there are different types of treatments. The best ones is they go around the house and drill holes in the concrete and the ground and foundation and insert a chemical that attracts the termite, and then they take that back to the colony, and whatever they ate in that bait station kills the colony. That's one way to do it. You know, of course, people always stacking firewood against their homes. That's usually a no-no. Things like stringers for your deck steps touching the ground. You really don't want wood touching the ground. That will attract them. Something else that, and this goes back to preventing a lot of other different things, is the ground surface around the home should slope away, because the drier you keep that area around your home, the less likely you'll have termites at the home, which benefits in many different ways, such as keeping water out of the basement as well, or any moisture problems that get down in there, or even in the crawl space. I just think, you know, people need to be more aware of what they're doing to their home and around it to help prevent termites from getting to the home or water in the basement even.
So I was showing a house the other day and it had cedar siding on it, and somebody, maybe I'd read it or somebody had told me, is that like a natural preventative for termites, or they're not attracted to it? I'd heard that.
No, well, you're less likely to see it with cedar. This is a different type of wood. They like a real soft, most of them termites like the soft, moist wood. They eat at it. There are other bugs that will destroy it, but they don't eat it. They just kind of make their homes in it. So they burrow in it, take out a chunk of wood, and then they live there. Whereas termites actually eat the wood.
So aside from drilling the holes, are there other types of treatments that can be done for termites?
You can they make some bait stations like you can get at the local store. They help, but it's always best to go back to the professional and get a house treated. Treatment usually lasts anywhere from 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
So it's a good idea.
Have you ever, so you're talking about the holes that were drilled in. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm trying to remember if I've ever seen a house that had those drill marks that had termites found again, or termite damage found again. And I can't think of any time. I mean, it seems like a very effective treatment.
Yes, that's why I said they last 5 to 7 years. Of course, nobody really keeps track of that. So when a house gets inspected for termites, as long as they don't see anything live, they will say it's still good to go. Once you see something live is when you need to have it retreated again.
Gotcha. So what's the difference? Like, I mean, I know that there's like ants that are wood destroying, and there's obviously termites that are wood destroying. What's their main difference?
Ants, well, the main difference is termites actually eat the wood, whereas ants, they may burrow into the wood, but they don't eat. And I think there's some like wood beetles out there too. They don't consider those wood destroying because they're not eating it. They just make holes in the wood and make a home.
Well, that's still something to look for.
Wood destroying, but it's not eating the wood. It's creating a hole in the wood to get inside whatever's there to make a home. I've seen it too.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So you said that there's some different types of termites.
There's the most common one around in this area would be a subterranean. So they don't like the air. That's why you see in this area a lot of shelter tubes. So they make little dirt tubes that they travel in to get to another area that they want, because they like it moist and dark.
Gotcha.
There are some flying termites you can watch out for. I sent a literature to you. It shows you the difference there. So always be vigilant of watching out for those as well.
I'm gonna see if I can screen share my screen right now, because I know this is something like when we are out looking at houses, one of the things that we're trying to point out to people is termite damage. So I want to show you a couple suggestions of what to look for.
Sure.
And hello, I don't know why I'm not, it just keeps putting an S on the end of it. Okay, we'll just leave it that way. Boop. So let's go to images here, because usually like I'll see it in wood floors
Yes.
quite a bit. Let me
Or
see.
structures.
So I mean, basically, guys, if you're seeing any of this, like these, let's go to this one over here. When you're seeing these like mud tunnels, that's what they're doing to kind of burrow in and eat away at the house.
So I'm seeing your email, Leslie.
Okay. Let me see here, wood floors. So some of them are more subtle and it's just like one little spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of them that we've seen kind of run down the boards.
Yes.
You know, and even when we're going out on a listing appointment, this is something that I'm looking at. And I've had several sellers that had no idea that that's what it was in their wood floor until I said something about it. And those are things that can be fixed. I mean, if you look at like this, they just piece in additional wood and then you have to refinish it. But it's not the end of the world for the wood floors, but
Correct.
it is damage caused from that.
And they do burrow into sheetrock to make their way up to find wood. Usually they don't travel very far. If they go much more than 18 inches or so, they're really hungry and looking for wood to eat.
Well, so too, I mean, like where you were talking about keeping it away from like water away from the foundation. This is also, I've seen a lot of this, and I'm sure you have, that happens like from roof leaks.
Yes.
So you'll see pictures. Let me see if this one will load up bigger on my, no, go back. The joy of doing this live. So I don't know if you can see, for those of you that are watching, like these, this is how it'll start looking, or if you start seeing your sheetrock, it looks like the paint is popping off of it.
Correct.
And then you start seeing these little dirt spots in it. Those are good indications to get it treated so that it doesn't wind up larger like some of these. I mean, holy smokes, check this one out.
That's why when you see, if you get a good inspector, he'll be using a flashlight and looking at the walls for anything that's popping out that looks like termite behind the paper and the sheetrock.
The worst one that I've seen, it actually did kind of look like this in some of the handrail on the inside of a house. And I couldn't figure out why it was right there in the middle of the house, because it wasn't like there had been a roof leak above or foundation, but man, they really liked whatever that wood was. It was their dinner of choice.
Yes.
But yeah, it almost made it like so soft. I mean, you could put your whole hand through it. There was nothing left.
Yeah. I inspected a home one time that was literally ate up. I mean, the walls, the sheetrock was totally ate up with termites. Don't know how far they went up. And of course, we can't see the full extent of the damage. But, you know, it's really a good idea to keep vigilant on termites. And one thing I have come across a few times as well is people saying, well, I get the house treated regularly for, you know, termites. Well, a lot of times it turns out to be with a local company that has come out every year and sprayed for bugs and spiders and stuff. Make sure that you are getting a termite treatment. And honestly, if they say they've had it treated every year, could possibly be a red flag, because you don't need to treat every year. Like I said, about every 5 to 7 years, maybe 10 is all they're required to treat for termites.
If they're doing the proper treatment.
Correct.
Right. And I know that these kind of goes back to the moisture of what we were talking about. These are definitely more prevalent in humid environments. I know like in Hawaii, there were huge mounds that they had built and things like that. So maybe if you're in a a market outside of that, you know, out in the desert or something, you're not going to see these as much, but
Right.
there are termites in Kansas.
Yes. And we have the subterranean type mostly in this area. Or
Gotcha.
like the ones like you're talking about, like don't mind the dry and heat. That's why you see the big mounds out in the air where it's hot and dry. That doesn't bother them.
Gotcha. Jared, do you have any questions while you're on here?
Not really. I mean, I ran into this the other day on that house that was being sold as is. There was some termite damage, but it was old. They didn't find any active termites,
Which is pretty
but,
common.
you know, yeah. But some of the wood was damaged.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I guess she should recheck it. I don't know, in a couple years, or because I know you mentioned keeping your eye out, but I don't know. I was kind of thinking like by the time they see a termite, you know what I mean? Like a homeowner. I don't know how often they should check that really.
There's really not, and that's kind of a problem in this area, is that's why I said earlier, they don't really keep that documentation. So if you get it
Right.
documented or have the documentation, is best to prove that this was done 10 years ago. We have damage, possibly maybe again live termites, and these projects again. So, you know, that's why I suggest every so often getting it checked just to make sure you don't have termites again.
Yeah, just to make sure they don't come back and
correct.
Eating away, and you don't even know they're eating away stuff.
Yep.
Well, a couple of things too. I mean, to think about as far as buying and selling. I mean, if you had a property that you've purchased and you keep that termite inspection from the time you purchased, and then 7 years, 10 years down the road, you go to resell and it's the same damage, then they can obviously see that it's not new damage. There's no new problem with termites, but not everybody is great at record keeping, whether it's, you know, the client or the company that came out. One of the other things that I had the other day in one of my listings, and I've had this several times over the year, and Jason, I'm sure you've seen this, is people that have random stuff in their crawl spaces. They don't even understand that it's there, but like cardboard. And then that was what was in this crawl space, and the termites had just destroyed it. And since the inspector, the termite inspector, hadn't seen previous treatment with those drill holes, then they recommended treatment because they had no idea how long that had been there or what had happened. They didn't find any live bugs, but they did find evidence that they had been there at some point.
Yep. I come across.
So as a home inspector, are you the one that is out? I know the answer to this, but you can tell everybody else. Are you the one that is out actually doing the termite inspection?
No, I'm not. You need to call a licensed exterminator that's licensed to inspect for termites.
And they have to be like licensed with that state in order to have that chemical, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. That's another important fact. Not every, and obviously we're sitting here talking about it. We've done it. We can know what we're looking at. But you need to get a licensed technician out there to inspect for termites.
And buyers, if you are getting an FHA or a VA loan, this is a required inspection for our market. I don't know if it's national, but it is required for our market that inspection has to happen.
Yes.
Well, can you think of anything else on the termite topic that we haven't hit?
No, keep firewood stacked away from the home. Any wood against the home, make sure it stays dry and not touching the ground. That's some of the best preventative methods you're going to make to help prevent termites from getting to the home.
Or people that buy the half whiskey barrels and they plant flowers in them. I don't know how many times I've seen them in that.
And I've had an inspector call that out and recommended treatment because it was against the house. Even though he didn't see it on the house, he's seen it at that water barrel that had termite damage. Yep.
All right. Well, again, I appreciate your time and coming on here and educating the public and helping educate our newer agents. And I look forward to hearing what next week's topic is going to be.
It's been my pleasure, Leslie. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.